Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender once more. And on this week's show, we flip-flop back and forward between fantasy and sci-fi like a hobby metronome, flipping one way, then the other. On top of that, we also have prizes, but not on this video. Instead, as part of the Sorcerer Kings theme week, we have 3 box sets from Parabellum to get you started in the world of conquest, be it First Blood or The Last Argument of Kings. Being with a chance to win one of those, simply comment on any of the Sorcerer King videos across this week. You can comment on YouTube or over on OnTableTop.com, and if you comment on both, it doubles your chances. And if you're a Cult of Games member, you get a bonus chance to win. So go ahead and start having a look at those, comment away. Otherwise, kick back, relax. Your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben and Justin to talk about all things gaming. Hello guys. How are you?
Hello.
Doing good.
Yes.
It's a busy week.
It has
a lot
been.
of stuff going on. Gen Con being right up there as well.
I know. Yep. Yeah.
What a way to kick off the week. But but we've got more important things. Because this week we've been going wholesale into Conquest with their newest faction, the big old Sorcerer Kings.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Elemental goodness wrapped up in a pan-Asiatic army.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, coming right at you across the world of IA. My favorite one. IA.
It does look like you and Shay had a lot of fun.
Yes. That's mostly brought on by sleep deprivation. But yes! we did these things. It's fascinating seeing how the armies come together and how it plays out as well. If people have not been paying attention, shame on you. But you can come over and have a nosy around the bits and pieces we've been doing. So from looking at the miniatures to looking at how you get started, build army lists, what the different troops will do on the tabletop, and then both games as well. And with a little cherry on top of John's Rakshasa.
Yes.
Or just a little, giant tiger
just think,
thing
Jerry,
on top.
it could have been the faction that you wanted.
Could have been Dogs of War. I'm assured they're coming. I'm assured of this. However, there's plenty to get your teeth into if you've not come across it before. And obviously, there are 3 big lumpy prizes as well to be won for commenters across those videos on both our site and on the Tubes of You. So if you fancy finding out more about it, then dive in, have a swim around, see where it goes, see how the massive conquesty game ends, and then know that in my heart of hearts, I'll be slamming Beatley spires into them at some point just to see how they work.
Yeah, you've got to unleash your spires once again. Yeah.
Well, there may be a second abomination coming for those spires. Just to add insult to injury, I feel. So the Sorcerer Kings may be getting a right stiffing from those.
Will it be the Artisan series one, or is it special?
Yes.
I will say, seeing the big dudes on table, they are vicious.
Yeah.
Yes. But, it's the best way to deal with a Titan is to throw a giant demon tiger into one and see what happens. And people will be able to find out
exactly. It happens to be on fire.
Yeah, exactly what happens. Help. My tiger demon's on fire. Please send another. Don't send another.
It's meant to be like that.
So Sorcerer Kings wraps up on Sunday.
Last Sunday.
I believe so.
Today? Well, yeah. 2 days, yeah.
2 days away. Yeah. So still stuff to come if you're watching this live on the Friday. And if you're watching it on Monday, then we're finished. You can go back and have a look at them all. If you're watching it in 2 weeks' time, then we finished several weeks ago. But they're all there still. Time's awesome. Videos on demand. whenever you want them. Just need to get the ad blockers up there.
It still freaks me out that there are people in this world who have never lived in a world without Google or YouTube.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. It'll all go full circle. Someday those things will go away and people will go,
the machines will destroy it all.
Can't believe that people used to actually have things that would tell them what to do and how to live their lives. And here we are banging two rocks together, hoping to find which one is the softest one to eat. That's how I imagine humanity will go.
This is why I'm always polite to Alexa. I would rather be a pet.
There you go.
Oh, no. It's like Cthulhu. You want to be taken out in the first wave. You don't want to be suffering or having to live in the cold.
That's true.
Oh, no. Yeah. Go ugly early.
Right. Terrible delusions straight away.
Yes. But Gen Con has arrived and has brought with it a whole host of news and information from all the companies. And a couple of the big bits came off the back of Corvus Belli as well.
Indeed. Yeah. So Gen Con last weekend, they ran, Hoopu and Carlos ran their seminars once again at Gen Con, which you can go and check out over on OnTableTop. The videos are there for you to dive into. The Infinity one was great, was having a look at what's coming up for obviously the world of Infinity. Some big ass stuff on the way, lovely tags, num, as well as some O12 goodness as well. One of the big things was the addition of, obviously, as you see there, the new stuff for O12, but also the JSA getting a whole bunch of awesome stuff, which was quite fun to see. Yeah, so loads of new characters, new miniatures, everything for JSA for you to dive into and have some fun with if you want to go down that slightly fractious route. But also we got to get a little bit of information about what's coming in the future for the new edition of the game and N5. Carlos was very enthusiastically going through exactly what he's got planned. Who would have thought it? Carlos, enthusiastic. But yes, he talks through a little bit of what they're doing, kind of like, as they say, polishing the diamond, as it were, and what they've got coming up. Make sure to keep an eye out for more stuff on that front on Tabletop in the very near future.
Yeah.
But yes, lots of fun stuff coming down the pipeline for Infinity. Very good.
Yeah. Infinity.
This is by no means everything either, by the way.
Yeah. So nobody cares about that. Tell us all about the fantasy things, though, Ben.
Yes. So Hoopu was also there giving a seminar on Warcrow and kind of catching people up as to what's happening after the main box set releases. Yeah. So we got a little bit of a roadmap for Warcrow, looking at Beyond Wind from the North, the new Yaldabaoth stuff, alongside new faction releases and all that kind of good stuff. And I had to pick out all the lovely pictures of all the different warbands they've got coming. So yes, there's the Yaldabaoth in there. There's some awesome new stuff for like your sort of fey creatures. So the red cap goblins are on the way, alongside Nuada, which is really cool. There are dwarves and everything else in between as well. So there's forest elves. Basically, anything you saw in Warcrow Adventures has kind of got some kind of translated element into Warcrow the War game, which is quite cool. So yes.
I really like Nuada.
Oh god, yes. So good. Very Hellboy Golden Army.
Terrifically terrifying.
Yeah. That's such a cool little warband. I love that you're going to have like this sort of badass fey, elfy princeling leading the way alongside all of those terrifying little goblins.
I particularly like the ones with their lava stilts.
Yes.
Just so they can sort of creep around. Creepy catch monkey. The floor is lava.
They slowly
literally. So, in that case, bounce yourself along. And of course, the dwarves. I'm shocked that it's not just 15 pictures of dwarves, to be brutally honest, Ben.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there were only so many images they showed. Yeah. I mean, look at that. So good.
Lovely. They've got beards because they decided to stay where they're supposed to. Don't move around. Nobody likes people who move around. Stay where you are, dwarves. Don't shave your beard and go off and live with the hegemony.
The hegemony, yeah. So yeah, if you're somebody who didn't necessarily like the look of the hegemony or the Northern Alliance, I mean, why would you not like the Northern Alliance? They're cool. You've got some new warbands for you to dive into and pick up in the coming months. They're going to have a release schedule similar to what they've had for Infinity. So every month, something new and awesome is going to be coming out, be it a selection of small character packs, all these faction boxes, or anything else in between. So there is lots of good stuff coming in the future for Warcraft. So,
not sure who I want more. I really like them. Mm-hmm. I do. I absolutely love the red caps.
Yeah.
But the tinge speaks to me in my heart of tingy heart.
The amount of spells you cast, yes.
I want to be tainted. Taint me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen just how powerful spellcasting can be in that game.
And I imagine my dice rolls will forever be that good all the time.
Yes.
Every time I
not
play.
make you turn into one of these.
No.
So, yeah.
It's a free buff.
Those are horrific.
First thing? Free
I love
buff.
it.
Yeah. They are absolutely spanking gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Fascinating to see where that goes. Obviously, people will be getting their hands on the Winds from the North soon.
Yep.
And then it'll just be a case of finding out what the first release is going to be out of the back of the multiple factions they've shown there, because they haven't said what that release is. It's just there is a release coming, and it will be one of those. So and maybe Hopo takes bribes. Hopo take bribes. If I can pick
she's
one,
the person who would.
You're saying someone in Chorus Valley could be corrupt? No, never.
So just to push the faction I want to the front. I'm not sure which that will be yet, but if we know, then I can make it so, and that's the main thing.
I'm fairly sure someone paid a substantial amount of money to make sure that Tohan never saw the light of day ever again. So
that's Carlos, actually. Really every month, the percentage of his check goes back towards them. Just because that goes back into the Keep Toha Suppressed Fund.
Yeah, Toha Retirement Fund.
Yep. They only come out whenever Carlos retires. That's how that one goes. Nice stuff. One more bit of news before we get into the show proper. It's that time of year again.
It is.
When surveys come out.
It's Christmas. No. So it's Christmas already. The Great Wargaming Survey 2024 is now up and running from Wargames Soldier and Strategy. So if you're looking to dive in and share your thoughts on the wargaming world for this year, you can do so. It takes about 10 minutes to get involved and take part in the survey. Very simple and easy to answer questions. There are some bits where you can embellish and add some text in if you like and share your thoughts. Everyone loves doing that. But if you dive in and get stuck into this, you could get your hands on some lovely stuff. There's discount coupons. There is a free STL from Wargames Atlantic, which is this lovely medieval...
The Agincourt Herald.
Attendant. Yeah, Herald. Yeah. Although he's French, so, sticking with arrows. But
I imagine he's just listing all the dead nobles. My liege, these are the nobles who came back.
But yes, so there's lots of bits and pieces for you to get stuck into as part of that one. Answer the questions, share your thoughts. It's always interesting looking at the results. So if you think that the wargaming world has shifted, or if you think it hasn't, get involved in that survey, and we will see the results in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And if people want to, they can go back and have a look at previous results that have come through, because they publish the results, but then they also do a deep dive. And anybody who's ever dealt with surveys and statistics, it's fascinating to see how they look at things and break down the actual results and what way they come together. So yes, always worth getting involved, especially if you aren't a Wargame Soldiers and Strategy subscriber. So you 40k fans and Infinity players and stuff who probably don't pick up a historically based magazine, you're the kind of people who would be fascinating to get your answers, because obviously it skews to more historic and older gamers, likes of me. And we always put our feed in, and therefore we see a set of results that says things like plastic is the worst thing that ever happened. Metal is the greatest thing ever. And it's true. Slowly over time, plastic has been creeping up the list of best thing to make your miniatures out of. But I'm fairly certain if other people, the survey's only as good as the input in. So the broader respondees, then the more interesting the results will be as well. So do that. And you can pick up a couple of digital copies of Wargame Soldiers and Strategy with your free coupon as well, because they do them all digitally. Well, not all of them. Very early stuff from Spain you can't get. But all of the stuff that they've been doing from the Netherlands are all online as well. So I don't need them. All of mine are paper copies. I hate you ones and zeros. I hate you. Anyway. Right. Let's get into the show proper. And we'll kick things off, as always, with the most important part, the Indie of the Week. And this week, Ben, just for you, because I love you, dwarves. Not just fantasy dwarves, but sci-fi dwarves as well. Yes. So this is Warblade Miniatures, a old school styly company. Some of the miniatures and creatures are distinctly old school, especially when you see the orcs. They do have a little goblin warband by Kev, the goblin master himself. In fact, because I know we're going to end up forever and a day stuck into dwarves and space dwarves, I'll just nip into fantasy creatures now that aren't dwarves, shall I? Yeah, okay. It's very generous of you, Ben. Thank you.
I thought I'd let you do that, yeah.
Yep. Well, you would. You're awesome like that. So, metal figures, the old school aesthetic, always nice to have, especially if you're playing any of the more retrospective games that we see these days. So obviously things like Frostgrave and Rangers of Shadow Deep and things like that, where you don't need a ton of miniatures, I think really lend themselves to the older smattering of warbands of minis kicking around the place. Also, I particularly love his sleeveless fur coat as well. It's really nice. Shame they've got an orc with them, but he can have everything.
Yeah, although it looks like they've hired a Jerry to take the photos.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the photos, mate. That's all about movement there. Next time you're on the show, I've got a company to look at where I think there's only like 15 photos on the entire website. Oh, wow. And the rest of it is just the listing in text. I'll be making sure you're in for that one.
Okay.
Going, here's a guy with a gun. Now imagine what the rest of these people would look like. Well, got to be cruel to be kind. But my favourite has got to be the Troll Meat Walker. So we'll look at the Goblin Queen first. Do you remember a while ago, a little pixie cup and orc head being brought in? Presumably he'd done messed up. Do you remember the Orc 40k Tyrannid army in the studio? Where people had put dreadnoughts and stuff together as if they were living things that had been dealt with by the orcs.
They lit out a Carnifex by sticking 2 spikes into its brain.
Yes. Look how happy he is steering the troll brain with a couple of swords.
Amazing.
Get them right in there. He's screaming, how do I stop? He's not listening to me.
That's some Ratatouille going on right there.
Oh, is that what he's making?
Like the weirdest Ratatouille.
What you can't see is there's tiny little snotling on his head,
inside
under his hat.
Brain,
It's just tiny things all the way down, so you get like a mite.
Yeah.
But I love that. It's just redunculous, absolutely redunculous.
Very cool.
And I feel like I need one. And if I do get one, I feel like there's like a Troll King in Kings of War. You can run like full troll armies with a big Troll King at the front. And I love the idea that the Troll King is actually still just being controlled by a goblin. That appeals to me on every level.
Yeah, but the other trolls just don't notice.
Oh, no. It's very difficult to look up when you've got such a hunched shoulder. So they're always ever just looking at eye level or down. So they can't see that there's a goblin up there. It's not their fault. They'd have to back really far up.
Doesn't that sound like modern politics?
Could be. I'm confused. Anyway.
Also controlled by goblins. Yes.
Orcs and goblins. There are obviously some creatures as well. You've got little kobolds. Dog-faced bastards rather than my favourite, which is the dragon-faced ones. But again, everybody has their own particular preference when it comes to kobolds.
They do.
And they're grim enough if you want to start setting hyena-like dog things on people.
Yeah. I like that the troll was done with that old hammery style aesthetic too, especially with the shield look and design. So if you're looking to if you're delving into the old world or something of that ilk. That would be a fun little model to put on a square base and let.
Yes.
So
God intended, just 40 mil square. That's all you need.
Natural habitat.
I've got some there. If you don't have any, come round. I've got plenty.
The square base dealer.
Yep. I'll see you at the front door. So, fantasy miniatures, small scattering of stuff before we get into the meat and potatoes, which will be obviously the dwarves. Oh, Ben. Oh, lovely, lovely Ben. The little dwarf warband is quite cute. They are obviously Norse flavored, which is nice because you didn't often see Norse dwarves. For a long time, they were the standard. Norse dwarves were front and center of all dwarves. And then over time, they sort of gradually got pushed away in favor of something a bit more, I'm not sure how you would put it. I'm not sure what the aesthetic was. Not Norse. They had horned helmets. They were like Minnesota sort of Viking fans. They were all wearing modern clothing, but with horned helmets on top, made of plastic probably. Got drunk and violent with people, just like Minnesota Viking fans. But actually having Ragnar and friends front and center again is nice. Perfect for things like Saga, Age of Magic. Definitely. If you want to do your dwarves, the Lords of the Underdeep.
What's quite nice about the miniatures that they've done as well is that while you could paint them in the slightly more grim dark style that you've got here, sort of going with the vibe of them being sort of like down and dirty, grim, and horrible, and that kind of thing. Because of the way that they've sculpted them, you could actually probably get away with doing a pretty nice, colourful paint job on them as well, and making them fit in with a lot of that kind of old school Norse stuff that we would have seen back in the day as well. I think it's quite nice. So yeah.
I don't know. I'm quite liking the dark and grim and gritty sort of look they went
definitely
for with these.
Yeah. Especially tying into the idea of them being like Viking TV series adjacent.
Yes. Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a little dwarf wizard / priest who's just come screaming straight out of that TV series.
Yeah.
I'll be fascinated to see if they go on and add more to this. Hopefully they will.
It would be interesting. Yeah.
Hopefully it just won't be the smattering of Vikings, but there's enough there. A couple of characters and then 2 core units, which is more or less all you really need when you're going to start chucking stuff into Saga. Because you can build your warband quite happily with that. And off you tot.
Yeah.
The sci-fi dwarves, though. This is where we're at. This is where we're coming from. There's Legion of Steel and a whole host of others. And remember we were talking about Panzerfaust recently, where they had the orcs, and like they have a certain Faust-esque feel to them. Even though they're heavily armored dwarves, they are just little space Germans with lovely flak jackets on, big drum mags, and off you tot.
I can get on board with this, definitely.
Yes.
That's a million times better than the current GW variant.
The League of
but those aren't. Didn't they say they're not dwarves? They're something different.
They're clones of some kind.
Best not to ask. Look at that. Eat by RPG scumbags. He screams just before his mates absolutely rifle through them.
But he's got a hammer instead of a shovel.
I think I've talked about these at some point in the past. Maybe it was for a news story or something. And there's definitely some of the old macrocosm stuff in here, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So the Legion of Steel's separate, I believe. And then some of the macrocosm stuff is kind of tying back into the
there's a
ranges that they've done.
You'll see them because there's about 3 or 4 pages of dwarves for the sci-fi range, and the Legion of Steel are a bit more heavily armored.
Yeah,
but obviously, look at that for a monumentally massive tash. Look at those.
Suits you, sir.
It's amazing they fit those gas masks on.
Quite. Yeah,
they've just got several attendants pushing them on there. It's true though. There's our digger core. So this might be the stuff you've seen from.
Yeah, so that's the macrocosm stuff, the digger core. Yeah,
and these are aesthetically pleasing. These are more like my old squats that everybody loves. Look at that that cigar is the size of his head.
Yeah.
It's enormous.
I have a few of the Macrocosm dwarves from way, way, way back in the day. Going to a salute, I think it was, and getting like a little baggie that had maybe 3 or 4 sample versions in it, and they're very nice. They're very, very good.
I'm digging these. You know, that's what a space dwarf could be: short, angry, flak jacket, in the mines, and ginger.
Definitely.
It's all the inbreeding, all recessive genes.
Recessive genes and high gravity planets. That'll do it. So,
very cool little ATV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
again,
the quads are awesome.
Harking back to the kind of classic squat look with the round helmets and all that kind of stuff as well. It's very cool.
Big visors. Lower the blast shield. Won't be able to see anything. So these are all Jedi squats in training. Your eyes can deceive you. Let go your conscious self.
Jedi with a rocket launcher.
That's the best type of Jedi.
I don't know, but flamethrower's a bit on the nose.
It's for toasting younglings.
Oh, num, like marshmallows.
Youngling s'mores.
Such a good little squad of men as well. So cool.
I absolutely love them.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of,
gorgeous.
I mean, Xenos Rampant is probably something I would look at because it's got a substantial enough army size without being mass huge.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, they could default in as Forge Fathers for Firefight, but I have a massive Forge Father army, so I don't need to replace my Forge Fathers with alternative Forge Fathers.
Not just yet, anyway.
But what about second Forge Fathers?
I currently have. I bought that army for Warpath, so I have more than I could physically field across 4 tables.
Okay.
So I have options, and my options have options. But yeah, things like that. Just being able to do a little trike squad or quad squad.
Yeah.
His little arm is very, very narrow, though. I would say that's probably the biggest thing I've noticed on these, on the riders. Their arms require a bit of beefing up. I suggest you break out the milliput and give them a bit of bulk because they
missed arm day.
They missed arm day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they missed arm day, but they did.
It's normally leg day that gets skipped. So
well, they don't really
that's
have any
because leg day sucks.
They've got feet stuck straight to their kneecap, stuck straight to their arse. So there's no legs in between. Hence do nothing around the place on those, which are sweet to the base. And then these jump packing dwarves. Again, absolutely clinker sham and rocking the old school aesthetic.
Just one big rocket.
Yep. I think it's got a couple of thruster vents to allow them to steer a little.
Right. It's not just like, it's not like an orc rocket.
No, literally just
they're very, very small, so they don't need as much thrust.
That's true. Yeah. What you don't know is that space dwarves' bones are like birds.
They're hollow.
They're hollow.
Oh, dear Lord.
Power fists of doom.
Yeah.
Fear those. Unusual hammer squad.
Kind of like pioneers almost.
In the jungle. The jungle is massive.
Yeah.
Well, they've gone full Cortez, haven't they? Into the jungle.
Looking for a city of gold. Don't say that to a dwarf.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's the future, Ben. Clearly it's adamantium.
Yeah. A city of adamantium. Unobtainium.
Unobtainium, the worst name of a thing and the worst name ever. It's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Look at those. Individual spack dwarves. The mighty helmets on them. They're not right. He's more head than hat than beard. Again, just legs stuck straight under the arse.
Touch of small man complex. I must make myself look taller.
Well, it's a good way of doing it. So
they saw the Chaos Dwarves walking around with their big hats and wanted to get involved. So
well, who wouldn't? To be fair, I often thought the big hatted Persian Chaos Dwarves were only that tall because they were just being suppressed. It's like, where they bind a child's head with bands to make it elongate.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. Chaos Dwarves wouldn't be dwarves, except they got massive weighted hat put on them when they were kids and just stunted them artificially. Otherwise, they're regular people.
Yeah.
The more you know. Huh?
Jerry's theories of sci-fi biology.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it makes sense, man.
The thesis coming next year.
Oh, don't worry. You can read about in my manifesto that will be published online. There's also a set of little cherubs. The evilest looking cherubs I've ever seen in my life.
Quite.
I think they've not looked up what cherub means in the dictionary. Because if somebody goes, oh, do you want to see a picture of my new baby? Oh, he's a little cherub. And then produces pictures like this. Don't drop their phone. Don't drop their phone and go, oh my God, kill it with fire. Just go, oh, lovely child.
Damn, that's an ugly baby.
Yep. Couple of other fantasy miniatures though, before we sodder on. Everybody's favourite cultists out for the culting and bopping people upside the head. There's me in one of my more sedate moments.
This is when Jerry goes out to the pub and goes, right lads, I'm not getting political tonight.
Yep.
5 pints later.
Oh, I mean,
they look really good.
Why wait for the pints? Get straight in there early on. There's even a little Justin Sorcerer who kind of reminds me of, remember the creepy sorcerer from Krull?
Yes.
Yes. It's very Krull-like, with the big, long, wispy beard and the bald head.
Oh my God, we can have Jerry versus Justin in a Frostgrave off. Each of you leading your war bands.
Me standing there going, get off my lawn.
Get off my frozen lawn. Yeah.
All about the Krullisms. And then some little elementals and Yargules.
Cool.
So, a
lovely stuff.
Relatively small selection of things, mostly leaning on the dwarves as well. So smaller than small. But nice nonetheless. And I like these elementals who just scream Old Flamer of Zinch.
Oh, yeah.
From the top of their little heads to the bottom of their little tiny fungus-like, I'm not sure what it is. But
yeah, like a snail's foot.
Yeah.
Like
which looks fit.
Like a poda. Cephalopods. Look at him huffing and puffing and blowing like the north wind.
Like the zephyrs.
Blow all you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they are just disturbingly weird. So, if you fancy a touch of the old school, and let's face it, who doesn't every now and then?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's worth checking out the delight that is Warblade.
Warblade.
All right, let's take a look at some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to be kicking things off with some Striketeam news, Ben.
So, TT Combat, aiming towards the release of their Kickstarter for Striketeam Commander, which is going to be their 32mm sci-fi skirmish game set within the Drop universe, as they've called it. So if you've played the likes of Drop Zone or Drop Fleet Commander in the past, these are going to be the various factions from those games fighting it out in 32mm skirmishes on the tabletop. We had a little bit of a look at some of the preview miniatures and some of the stuff they'd set up at UK Games Expo this year, where they show off a really awesome high-rise, which was kind of like doing a whole breach clear style scenario and that kind of thing, which featured the UCM, which were the first preview that they put up over on their Kickstarter page. I would guess that we're going to be seeing miniatures for all the different factions diving into Striketeam Commander. The guys at TT Combat don't necessarily do things by halves.
It's true. So, we have seen that from the fantasy ranges.
Exactly, yeah. So I would think there's going to be quite a lot of stuff coming down the road. I really liked that the UCM had that continued Halo-esque look to them in terms of the way that like their armor looks as well. But those rifles look very similar to a Halo assault rifle. And is that a BR in the back, sort of ready to shoot?
Well, here's the question, Ben, because we all know that whenever this universe first came into being, Dave, the initial guy on it, went absolutely buku crazy. So I'm wondering, have they just upskilled his old sculpts?
Well, Dave's still involved on the creative side of things, so you never know. He might have been like powering away at this in the background for the last, I don't know how long. Yeah, so
possibly, but
they're looking pretty good. If anyone's seen the work from TT Combat on the likes of Carnivale and a lot of their sort of other games, and of course the fantasy range that they've started to help develop alongside others, I think this is going to turn out to be a pretty awesome little game. It'll be fun to see how it plays, actually, because there's quite a lot of sci-fi skirmish games out there on the market. So this one's going to have something a little bit different to set it apart from the rest, which is one of the things that made Drop Fleet and Drop Zone so intriguing for a lot of people, because Drop Fleet was about orbital battles rather than it being deep space engagements. And then with Drop Zone Commander, it was all about sort of objective style control, where you weren't necessarily just blowing the hell out of vehicles. You're actually trying to secure objectives and take buildings and all that kind of thing. So hopefully they've kind of zoned in on what kind of makes those games unique and try to do something similar with Striketeam. But we shall see.
Yeah. It's interesting, the big ship there. Obviously, TT do a whole range of both resin and MDF terrain. So I imagine pretty much everything that's in the background of those is almost undoubtedly going to be coming out if it's not already part of the range.
Probably,
yeah. Kitified.
Yes.
I will say they have done a series of one-off miniatures for a variety of different factions for Striketeam that they normally put out during events and stuff like that. So if you're interested in those, go and have a look back through some of their social media posts, because they do tend to show off some of the things like Scourge troops and resistance fighters and that kind of thing. They're all single miniatures at the time, but are going to turn into something bigger, I think, for Striketeam Commander when it comes to Kickstarter. So yeah,
cool. And or the gang. Moving away from science fiction and into the wonderful world of fantasy, where everybody's happier on square bases, hitting each other with sticks. No, they just are. It's how things go.
Yeah.
Oathmark is getting a new box set. Who would have thunk it? It's still alive and kicking, folks. Every now and again, North Star and Nick to go, you know what? We've not released something for Oathmark in a little while. Let's throw another regiment out there. And in this case, it is the mighty Orc Heavy Infantry. So, big plastic multi-part kit, 30 figures, with that really classic, almost Angus McBride looking orc style of artwork. And I love the fact that they have gone with that aesthetic for Oathmark. We've seen it before with the goblins already, but these just absolutely scream elves who have been tortured and gone wrong, from their little racist eyes to their ears. I mean, there's not much difference between these and regular elves, to be fair. Just a lack of sartorial elegance is the thing that sets them apart. But it is another multi-part plastic kit. As you can see, Artmaster has been doing sterling work on them. I imagine, like all of the Oathmark sets, they will be interchangeable with the existing sets. And that means from Frostgrave as well, and theoretically Stargrave also.
Yes.
So if you fancy having a load of Grimoire Guard-looking people battering people upside of the head on an asteroid or desert planet, all doable. All very doable.
Yeah, anytime they do these kits, there's an absolute wealth of extra weapons, extra heads and stuff just to mix and match in everywhere.
Yeah,
definitely.
So you'll be able to kit out. I'm trying to think, the last, with the initial sprues, you couldn't make full units, could you? Of a specific weapon type. It was like you could take a box and you could make 2/3 as X weapon, and then, so maybe it was 5 archers or 10 archers, and then the rest were then, 15 or 20 hand weapon or spear or whatever to make the best use of the sprue.
Counts as for the front rank.
it just meant that you pick up a couple of boxes and then you'd be able to make full regiments. But if you're only picking up one box, then you'd be able to make the half size, because Oathmark, for people who aren't aware, works. There is figure removal, but it works in fixed regiment sizes. So you don't have 8 men in a unit. You'll have set 10 or 20 or whatever it happens to be.
To give you an idea, I think I initially pointed up I think it was like an 1,000-point elf army back when the game first came out. And a lot of the regiments you were going to be building were going to be 10 men big anyway. So getting a box, maybe 2 boxes, and then one of the plastic kits, not 2 boxes, and then one of the metal sets would kind of get you started in the game without much hassle, to be honest, because you just have a couple of extra champions, maybe a leader like a king or whatever in there, and away you go, really. But
can't wait to get a look at the sprue and see exactly how it breaks down, because it might be that you can make them all across the board, because they're always iterating and innovating. But as you can see, there is a set of metals coming for these as well, to give you a whole host of leader types, whether it's the half-naked berserk, flail-carrying lunatic, or a drummer, who used to lead the archers, presumably, but unfortunately took an hour to the eye and lost his depth perception. So now he just bangs on his drum. Bangy, bangy, bangy. I love these. They have a ton of character in them. They're particularly really nice. I like the fact he's holding up a dead fella, which, is always good, just to show.
One dead fella or more?
Well, 2.
2 dead fellas, yeah. I like the guy on the left. He's my favourite, with his mace at the ready.
Right. I really like this one with the Vader-like helmet on. It's like a rusted black metal look. But as you can see, the same sort of armor types are carried across into the plastic, or into the metals from the plastics. And they have a nice savage look to them without looking like they're just completely fur-clad. They obviously have some form of manufacturing going on, so their army isn't just complete dregs, because after all, they were elves once.
Yeah.
These
almost like the armies of a certain Dark Lord.
I'm not sure. Not sure where that would have come from, but strange how these things pan out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes. Moving away from Oathmark, and there's been some fascinating news from Crooked Dice.
Oh yes. New sets of sci-fi releases for them for over the summer. Seems like everyone's having a sci-fi summer at the moment. Crooked Dice.
Romantic summer of sci-fi started this week as well.
Oh,
with their campaign.
You can't move for sci-fi and summer. But yes, so Crooked Dice released a selection of new sets of figures for you to use in 7TV or whatever game you fancy, to be honest. They started off with a couple of boxes for the Fugitive Fleet. If you're somebody who remembers the old Battlestar Galactica,
I do.
The original Battlestar Galactica, then you will be very familiar with these characters. The likenesses are crazily good. I would like to say that I have never seen the modern Battlestar Galactica, but because I remember when my friends were talking about it many years ago now, obviously, it's actually been out for a while. They're like, "Oh, have you seen Battlestar Galactica? Blah, blah, blah. Look at these characters, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, I don't remember that. And that's because the Battlestar that I remembered, I watched on a very, very, very small TV.
Which was very, very
at my nan's house. So
no, you should go back and give the newer version of Battlestar a look, Ben. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, a lot of people said it starts off quite well and then kind of drops off a little bit. But
as you work your way through, it gets a little confusing.
Yeah. I was always a massive fan of this aesthetic, though. I just loved the jackets.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like space western style. So cool. Oh, it's so amazing.
Can you name them?
I can't. Well, obviously one of them is...
so far left is Starbuck?
Yes, Starbuck, yes. And then he was the only one I could place, and then the others I couldn't get. So
Boomer?
Yeah.
And then that would be Athena, and then Apollo at the end.
There you go. Yes. Yeah.
And Apollo, the actor who plays Apollo, actually cameos in the remake. He was trying to get it remade for years and never got it. He paid for his own cinematics and all sorts, and took them around conventions and things and couldn't get anybody interested. But they are absolutely spanking gorgeous. I love them.
They are lovely.
And they've had Cylons / not Cylons. 4 years for cricket dice. So the reason you're not seeing them is because they've already done them. They're already out there. You should already have them and have them painted. Have you painted
Toasters.
Yet? Yes.
We see, I don't know, now that we're actually seeing proper chrome finish paint in our industry now, grab some of them and use that, get them repainted, folks.
That'd be good. But as well as the sort of your kick-ass characters, you've also, well, I mean, these guys are kick-ass in their own way. You've got a Dharma and the like as well, so you've got your Fugitive Fleet Command to throw into your games.
Yeah. Baltar.
Getting stuck into some kind of nefarious politicking behind the scenes, no doubt. And again, gorgeous miniatures that definitely capture that retro style and are going to be really fun for people to dive into and have a look at when it comes to 7TV. I will say, I looked at these and was like, oh my God, I need them. And then I remembered that the Captain Scarlet stuff exists. And I was like, oh God, I should really get those.
See, I don't know. Seeing these, I want to go out and hunt down like a 3D print file for like the old school Vipers.
I bet you can find one. Someone will do it somewhere.
I mean, doing that and then having just like the hangar bay set up with some Cylons fighting through. That'd be so good.
Yeah. Oh, and do it on some battle systems terrain. So you've got that really nice sci-fi look to it as well.
Yeah, you could run it off of that.
Lovely jubbly. But yes, as well as the Fugitive Fleet, we also got a couple of additional sets for other sci-fi properties, not properties. So we have the Node agents. So if you're looking to...
When did the Matrix become retro? This is a lie.
It is quite old now.
Don't make me feel decrepit.
So yes, if you want your Node agents to be jacking in and kicking out and taking names, you've got some very nice options here. So you've got your 3 heroes, as it were.
Yes.
And then your villain on the far right. As well. Looking to get rid of all sorts of terrible infestations within his programming.
But hobbits are a virus.
Yes.
The miniatures look really, really sharp. They've captured the aesthetic of the movie really nicely.
They really have.
It's great. It's a great way to expand the background of the Matrix as well, because they only ever made that one film.
They did,
we're never able to find out what else happened.
Yeah. I don't know. There was some animated shorts that came out that were wonderful.
The Animatrix
I don't watch cartoons.
Yeah, the Animatrix was okay. So, as well as the Node agents, we also have the Black Light agents. So if you're looking to keep an eye on alien activity on planet Earth, you've got some options here for you to choose from in their rather dapper suits. One of them's got his noisy cricket at the ready, obviously, alongside a mixture of all of the kinds of weapons. Just make sure that when the bug eats your weapon, you dive in after it. That's what you got to do. You got to go in after it.
Yeah, a little bit, Ben, because it's like not agents. It's not a cricket. It's a cicada.
Yes. The boisterous cicada. Yeah, there you go.
Right. So you see on these ones,
yes,
they're all labeled so you know which one you're buying. A, B, C, D, or E. In this case, that is actually just their names.
Yes, actually. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, careful!
You haven't listed them as that.
Boxed themselves.
I'd be very, very upset.
Agent B, Agent C. Yeah.
Yep.
But it gives you the old school people in dark clothing and the new school people in dark clothing to choose from. So yeah, very cool.
Sweet like candy.
Last but not least, though, there was also a little bit of an extra addition to the Sci-Fi Summer range. We also got to the Robot Dog. Yay!
Oh, such a good boy.
Yeah. So if you want to go traveling through time and space with little tiny robot pooch, you've got your options there. Lovely little miniature representing classic K9, as you say, Jerry. So yeah, very cool. But yes, lots of fun stuff in the sci-fi realm from Crooked Dice for 7TV. And if you've ever thought, I like this popular property, other miniatures for it, I would hazard a guess that Crooked Dice probably has it. So go and have a look. Your nostalgia senses will be on fire. So
just scratch the itch at the back of your head. They have Krull miniatures. They released them
they do
recently as well.
For the fantasy range.
You could get that Justin miniature from Warblade then.
You can Krull it up.
Krull it up. Go full Krull. Yeah. Remember, it's all about the power of love. Don't worry about the extreme space frisbee. Right, Justin. Tell me a bit about the Infinity terrain that's coming.
So yeah, the guys from Warsenal have been doing some of their pre-printed, like pre-colored terrain for the JSA. Funny that. They've been doing some gorgeous, gorgeous things. So first up, we're seeing a Sunomata shrine. And basically this is something that I love that they do. They work with Corvus Belli to actually make stuff that has just the proper aesthetic for Infinity games. And again, because it's pre-colored, maybe do a little bit on the edging just to tidy that up. But once you've done that, it just looks absolutely fabulous. I love all of the little lighting details and stuff they put into these. And then you've got that sort of traditional but sci-fi look to the roof. They've also done a few other components. So we've got, I believe, what is the next? The pavilion. So this is perfect if you're wanting to just like break up the lines of fire on your table, just add little like sort of little bits of raised walkways and stuff just to really play about. And then you've got the small little shrine pieces there that you can just use to add flavor in and through your table as well. What do you think, Dan?
I think this stuff's great. As you say, I think one of the cool things about it is that they've clearly worked with Corvus Belli to create some stuff that is gameable as well as looking nice. Like a lot of their rooms have been designed to their sort of ITS standard style, so they're good for objective rooms and that kind of stuff, which you do need if you're going to be playing at that level. But at a basic level as well, I think they just look absolutely gorgeous as really nice faction terrain. What's quite nice about the stuff that you get from the Sunomata range is that it's all quite modular too, so you can kind of block different pieces together, build longer walkways, as you say, Justin, or you can give height to certain areas. And one of the nice things they've done is they've created like a really cool like shrine complex style design as well. So you have the 4 buildings and then all the walkways around the edges. So if you then plonked that in the middle of, say, I don't know, like a jungle or something, think how amazing that would be with this like really nice bright sci-fi complex in the middle of this really dark, dense jungle. I think that'd be really
but
cool.
if you get like a couple of these, you could almost do like a full-on Forbidden City style sci-fi thing. As well. Definitely. It's always a balance that I find you're trying to strike with Infinity is between it being a really cool cinematic table and something that you can actually play and have fun on. So again, things like this big piece here, you're going to be right down at your tabletop looking for all those lines of fire and stuff. So I'm really, really impressed with it.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous set. And
do your own sci-fi willow pattern?
Yes.
And isn't that what Infinity's been crying out for?
Well, I suppose so, yeah.
Just need a little cherry blossom tree, but like a hologram of one. Not a real one, obviously. It'd be madness.
Yeah.
So what, cast one in like a blue resin?
Oh.
See? Writes itself.
It does.
You're a genius, Jerry.
I am. There's a thin line between that and madness.
There is no dissent here.
No. 100%. If you are getting these and you're looking to tidy up the edges to get rid of the MDF, paint pens are your friend. It's just so much easier than having to try and
run along the edge.
Use a brush. Yeah. Just pick up some paint pens and then just relevant colors and off you go.
Yeah, and again, sometimes you're going to want to go over it a few times just because the HDF can be super absorbent sometimes.
Oh, not with the paint pens I use.
Really? Which ones do you use?
I use Molotov from Germany. They're amazing.
Okay.
They're one for all acrylics, and they can be refilled. Okay. So those,
very nice.
Get them. There's a whole range of them. And for MDF and HDF terrain, Bosch, job's a good one. And anytime I'm too lazy to rim a base, I do them as well.
Fair.
Who can be bothered? I can't. Lovely and matte. Cracking stuff from Warsenal.
Really is.
And nice to see the JSA getting more stuff as well. Because
indeed,
they were always one of my favorite factions.
They were super fantastic.
Yeah,
and now they're even better.
Very much so.
Yeah, that they've broken away from the filthy overlords.
Yes.
Hard to the people. Right. And leaving those behind.
Boo.
And diving back into fantasy. We've been flim-flamming, flip-flopping between fantasy and sci-fi all day.
There is no rhyme or reason here.
I like
yes,
it. So we have a metronome of fantasy sci-fi, fantasy sci-fi, fantasy sci-fi.
And we'll end on sci-fantasy. Who knows, maybe. But yes, Heroes of Might and Magic is getting another tabletop game, but not a board game. Archon Studio and Jacek Kalpowitz.
Sure.
I said his name right. Yes.
Fair enough.
Kalpowitz is working with Andy Chambers and Jervis Johnson, legends of the wargaming world, who have made all sorts of different games like Battle at Gothic, Necromunda, the Warhammers in general, and everything else in between. They're working together to make Heroes of Might and Magic Battles. Now, this is a very early sort of preview of this. Came out of Gen Con, obviously, over the weekend. But they are working to create a new and innovative battle game for use on the tabletop, using miniatures like you can see here, based on the classic Heroes of Might and Magic video games as well. So if you're somebody who loves the different factions and the different characters and all the crazy peasants with the pitchforks, you're going to have options for you to dive into and play around with. It's going to be coming in 2025, so you still got a little bit of a time to wait on that. But from early sort of mutterings, Chambers and Johnson have been working on playing around with tried and tested wargaming mechanics and giving them a little bit of a kick up the backside, apparently. So there's some new stuff there in terms of the way that initiative works, the action system, and how you go back and forth between players, and everything else in between as well. It's meant to be a fun and interesting set of rules, but also easy for someone to pick up, which I think is quite important nowadays as well. So as long as you can pick it up easily enough, that's great, because it means you've got more retention in your game, man. Just don't mess around with it every month with errata. Boo! But yes, nice stuff coming from Archon Studio, Karpowitz, alongside Andy Chambers and Jervis Johnson. Love it.
Interesting. Never played it. Any good?
I played, I think, the original, maybe, back in the day, and I thought, this is cool, but I'd rather play Civ
Right.
or something else. So it's not really my type. It wasn't really my type of game. I felt it was a bit loosey-goosey when it came to fantasy and the different factions and things. But it's certainly a favourite for a lot of people. And it has plenty to draw on. So.
Myself, John, and Shay this week, now that it's coming down the pipeline, went out and picked up Worms WMD again. Oh, it was hilarious.
Somewhat inspired by something that happened in the studio, just.
Yes. A little bit. En petit.
Say nothing that casual. Worms Let's Play next week, by the way, folks.
There you go.
Oh, fancy stuff. Justin, I believe there's some 40k news.
Yes. So the Imperial agents are now coming to the tabletop. So what we're going to be seeing with this workshop is starting out with they're releasing a codex in the standard 2 flavors. So you've got the limited edition artwork and then the standard artwork to let you dive in and start playing out some battles with, the Ordos of the Imperium. So you're going to get your data cards in there, and you're also going to be getting some battle forces in there to get you up and running. So first we'll have a combat patrol, obviously, which is going to have, just what you expect. So you're going to have Inquisitors, Munitoran Priests, all the Assassins are going to be in there. And then moving further through, you're going to see the different Ordos get like different allies. So,
okay. Right. So we've seen all this stuff before. It doesn't matter about that.
Sci-fi.
No, but the combat patrol, that's great, cool. Yeah. I like that. Loads of space cops.
You're the most important thing. Spare level head again.
I don't. Yeah. Well, we talked about him before. That's fine. Right. Yeah.
Oh, so the stability.
Inquisitors are coming. Really cool. Nice for hobbyists. Happy. Lots of fun things. The most important news of the week came out this week, and it is that screw everyone who said that Middle-earth strategy battle game is dead, because it's not dead. It's back, and it's better than ever.
Rest.
You guys suck. Yes, it was having a nice little lie down in a barrel-like tube. So yes.
What's this?
The new supplement is "Don't You Dare."
What's this? There's something in the air.
Where's where we started? Oh my God, there is amazing.
Christmas game early for Ben.
So, right, I am uncontrollably excited about this. The new supplement is coming out, which is all about the rise of Angmar and the fall of Arnor and everything else. And that means loads of amazing new miniatures are going to be coming out. Probably most of them in Forge World resin, so just bear that in mind. But they're going to be popping up, and by the gods, By Iluvatar, they are amazing. See, I'm dropping all the references. So the first thing we got is a selection of trooper sort of previews for the Warriors of Khan Doom. So these are evil warriors that were in the service of the Witch King of Angmar. So think of the what were they called? The men of chops. The
Southlands.
Wild Men of Dunland.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. I remembered. There's too many words going around my head. I'm too excited. So yes, think of the Wild Men of Dunland, but on steroids. So these are your guys that you can charge into battle with alongside your orcish armies, kick ass, take names. There's a whole bunch of new warriors for you to choose from, and a whole host of other bits and pieces as well. Keep scrolling, Jerry. Oh my God, they're good. Also, just as a point.
Easy, calm, chill. Take a moment.
Woosa!
Where are their shields from? Are there shields and things?
They look like dwarven shields.
Yeah.
That they've nicked.
They've nicked off the corpses of a load of dead dwarves.
Yeah.
That they've done up like keppers.
Yeah.
Now we can move on.
I was going to say,
all the dead dwarves, I'll chill you out for the rest of this.
Yeah. Importantly, though, no. Importantly, because Middle-earth strategy battle game doesn't require you to have loads and loads of miniatures. Even though these are all going to be made in forged resin, like you could buy the pack of them, which could be like 6 models in the set or something, and that's enough for you to start playing like a pretty decent sized game alongside like a hero and a couple of others, because it's a skirmish game after all. It's not War of the Ring. So yes, the main book, The Rise of Angmar, it's going to cover that entire period of the fall of Arnor, the last king of Gondor, and everything else in between. So it's all going to be about the rise of the Witch King and his fight up there in the north, destroying the kingdom of Arnor, teasing the last king of Gondor so that his horse bucks and kicks him off on the battlefield, only to be saved by Glorfindel forever. Oh yeah. And then the last king of Gondor rides off into Minas Morgul and is never seen again. Silly man. But yes, lots of nice stuff coming in that book. I can't wait to see what they do with it. I hope they throw in some of the extra stuff about the hobbits that went north to go and help the kingdom of Arnor, because they went up with like a bunch of bowmen to go and help fight against the forces of Angmar and stuff. And I really hope that's been tied in there. And that also ties into why the Rangers look after the Shire and all that kind of thing. Anyway, too deep dive. We also have Aldrak, the Warlord of Khan Doom, looking absolutely amazing. What a stunning miniature. If you're somebody who has really liked the Dark Oath stuff for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, oh boy, I think you might have also found yourself another Dark Oath chieftain, perhaps, as well, if you're playing in the Mortal Realms. But crikey, he looks cool. Oh, so nice. Oh my God. I can't wait to read all the rules. We also have Fracus. No. The vassal, a shaman, the vassal of the Witch King, who is looking also equally amazing. It's going to be so cool seeing all the different abilities and powers they're going to have. They've done some really nice stuff so far to make all of the characters that we're seeing for this expansion incredibly thematic. So, for example, with the last king of Gondor, he has rules that are all about him being impetuous and charging into battle, and sort of like throwing caution to the wind and stuff, which is obviously really cool for his character. But they've also made him an utter badass as well. So even if he does charge into combat and fight heroes all day long, he's gonna, kick ass and take names all the way through, which is really good. One of my favorites, because I'm a good guy fan. We also have Aranath, the first chieftain of the Dunedain, who is looking amazing. Can you tell that I think everything's amazing?
I think Ben's in his happy place.
He's in that really nice pose that one of the Return of the King Aragorn was in from the initial.
But it is not this day.
He's got the sword up in the air, which is really cool, from the Battle of Pelennor Fields.
He's in the pose of the Warhammer Quest Elf Ranger.
He is.
Sword in the
air. Looks awfully similar as well.
Bow behind his back. They're in the right hands and everything. They've taken that one. They've gone to the big book of Gary Morty poses.
They have.
And went flick. Yeah. We've not used that one since 93.
But he's coming in with, he's going to be an excellent bowman. I'm just reading it. Literally, this is the first time I'm seeing this and reading through this. So he's going to have things like expert shot and all that kind of thing. Is he going to be able to run your Dunedain warbands? Please tell me you release some of the classic metal Dunedain, because they were so good.
Oh, Ben is
I'd
manifesting.
be surprised if they didn't. I mean,
yeah, you've got to.
There's no point in bringing back the leader of the Dunedin Rangers if you don't have...
And then not doing the rest
and
of it.
not have the Rangers to lead.
That would be a bit of a terrible tease.
Yeah.
We also have the Shadow of Rudar. Oh, so good. Lovely,
He's touch of the
Wraith.
Touch of the Wraith about him, hasn't he? Yes.
Oh yeah, he does. If you're someone who has always liked the idea of like Barrow Wraiths and all Barrow Whites and all that kind of thing, then this
Get off my dungeon.
To pick up. Angmar in the game has like a list that has the access to things like orcs and all that kind of thing, but a lot of it is also very spirit heavy, especially for the time of the Lord of the Rings, which is obviously after the fall of Arnor by some degree. But that means that you could use these obviously for during that period, but then if you wanted to add them into later on, you could have it so it's the lost ghostly kingdoms of Arnor and the Witching rising up more forces to fight battles in the north, which would be really cool. And then my days. So Burdur was an amazing character troll chieftain that you could get back in the day, but he was a little squat thing with his arms like this, and he was like shuffling along. Now they've made him a really nice new dynamic model that is probably going to be like at least twice as big as the original one, I would guess. But he's amazing. If you want to run just a troll army, he is a great option for you to choose. And again, because it's Middle Earth, you don't need that many models. My friend's troll army, like 500-600 points, was like 4 trolls, which is like nothing really in the grand scheme of things. Great. So I killed them all with my dwarves.
He has a cave troll.
Yes, and now it's been chopped to pieces. But I mean, look at that pose. Imperious above his enemies, about to crush them.
He's doing the unlimited power thing.
The exposition pose.
Yeah. And then, alongside that as well, they've released new kits for hill trolls. Oh. So if you were sick of cave trolls and mountain trolls, you can now have hill trolls. Oh my god. Yes. Higher intelligence than the average troll. Looking absolutely amazing again. I think some people are going to have a lot of fun painting these, playing around with all the different colours. As you can see, all their cloaks look like they've nicked them off rangers.
Yes.
So that's a lot of dead rangers at the hands of those trolls. We'll say it also plays quite nicely into the story because Aragorn's father dies to hill trolls and orcs, I believe, when he's ambushed. And then Aragorn gets shifted away to Rivendell soon after that, but amazing stuff there as well. Oh boy. It's not all though. There's one more set, which looks super cool. And if you're a fan of things like the Silmarillion and stuff, then this is even better. So they're also doing werewolves. So good. So
an unusual look for the werewolves.
Yeah. But so
a little more bestial.
Yeah. So Tolkien doesn't necessarily bring things like vampires and werewolves into regular Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and all that kind of thing. But back in like the Silmarillion and stuff, there was vampires and vampire type creatures anyway, and werewolves. Obviously, Sauron took the form of a wolf as well, and all that kind of thing. And there was like,
he would.
Yes, and there was the big deadly wolf that had the Silmaril stuck inside him, and all the things that chased down Beren and Luthien and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really nice sort of addition to the range that is a callback to the stories from the Silmarillion and the First Age and the Second Age. And obviously you could throw them into the Third Age to have them hunting around the woods of Mirkwood, for example, which would be quite nice to see. Oh, but yes.
Never going to
Screw
Mirkwood.
40k and those dumb Imperial agents.
That sounds like some heresy to me.
Yeah, it is heresy.
No.
You can string me up and burn me. That's fine.
I don't think there's any heresy there. I don't know about the models for the werewolves.
It's a very different take.
They're barrel-chested, high-in-a-back looking things, but I think it's their noses. They've got a very squat nose. They're wargs.
They are wargish rather than werewolf.
That may be where they've come from this. Rather than go full wolves, they've got, he's warged out, hooked up on Wowowjus. You know who my favourite is, though, in the whole thing? It has to be the shaman there, Vassal the Witch King.
He's cool.
He's really nice. He doesn't scream evil Witch King thing. He can drop, and let's face it, because these are proper 28mm unlike GW's heroic nonsense that's up to about 57 at the moment, which means he'll fit into any force for anything like Saga Age of Magic or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to get a lot of fielding.
I'd have him as like an Odin analog.
Yeah. Just wherever I want. Although I have 3 Odins already, so I don't need a new Odin. But I'll find a use for him somewhere, somehow. He's even got a leg bound in polythene. Which is very Westnell now. Find the farmer up in top field with a leg bound in polythene. Are you the farmer? Does he look like the farmer Westnell? Anyway, yeah, he's a cracking figure. I mean, they're all excellent sculpts, which goes to show they still can. They just refuse to a lot of the time.
Well, they're maybe hemmed in by what is canon.
No, I don't just mean for Lord of the Rings. I mean for all of their ranges. They can do understated, nice sculpts, but a lot of the time they seem to put out formulaic, massive things that require 15 sprues and 4 boxes to skip it around with. And these, I don't know if this is because Kev is now over with Forge World. Kev White from Hassle-Free fame.
Maybe he's had a bit of a hand.
So I'd love to know who's actually responsible for the sculpts here. Yeah. They're not. I mean, they are just cracking.
They have taken to crediting their artists more of the last couple of months. So hopefully they
have to keep a wee eye out and see if they actually, well, not name and shame, but name and praise for once. Because it's so rare for them to do. Yeah. He's a bit too clean cut in Hollywood for my liking, though.
Well, it's actually one thing I was talking to a couple of ones down at the store about is, the Lord of the Rings strategy battle game has actually been one of the best rule systems Workshop has ever put out.
Amazing.
And I think it's because they've not touched it. They haven't had that big power creep that you see in 40k and Sigmar.
Yeah, it's because even though the game is played quite a lot of tournaments, but also the majority of people play it as quite a casual, thematic style game. So while it's been tweaked and stuff like that, it's a game where a lot of the pleasure comes from the storytelling aspect of it, and that means that rules suit that. And it also it has a great sort of competitive level of player that is fully accepting of that as well. And so they'll be like, well, yeah, it's thematic rules. It doesn't matter if it, of course Sauron's going to be amazing.
You're not just rolling into min-max.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do that. I've seen a lot of people doing it with some forces. Rohan were quite dominant for quite a while, but they do nerf things occasionally. But otherwise, it's a fantastic rule set, and you can't get it all around. It's so good. So
you get players who go, "I'm going to bring 40 hobbits," and then just spend the time getting absolutely creamed by them.
My friend's evil army.
Time was had by all.
My friend's evil army is trolls. His good army is hobbits. So he goes from one extreme to the other.
Yeah. I'm going to paint 4 models for this, and then this one I'm going to paint 50 models for a game that uses about 20 on average.
They can throw a lot of stones. Let me put it that.
And if only those stones were any use. One in every 4 stones.
They killed Urukai last time we played. So
one of every 4 stones is pointed.
Yes.
Just have to find the requisite stone to actually do some damage. Yeah. Good stuff. Right. Enough news, I feel. We'll have a quick swish and come back to round out the show. All right, we're back and we're ready to take a look at some 3D printing, and Benjamin has been visiting Wake's Emporium. What has he found in them?
I've slightly calmed down. So yes, this is Wake's Emporium, which was something that I found by watching a channel called JMax Middle Earth, who, funnily enough, does Middle Earth videos, which is again quite fitting. But he has been looking at building 10 mil epic scale, as I guess you'd say nowadays, armies for use on the tabletop based in Middle Earth. And so some of the files came from Wake's Emporium, as you can see here. Now they make a range of different bits and pieces. A lot of it is in the epic scale, although they do a few extra bits and pieces here as well. But it's lots and lots of 3D 3D printable STL files for you to use in 10mm scale for the likes of the Lord of the Rings. There's Star Wars in there as well. There's a little bit of kind of like classic Warhammer. There's vehicles from lots of different popular pop culture films. There's Starship Troopers and a whole host of other bits and pieces here and there as well. So if you're somebody who's looking for property adjacent, shall we say, stuff in a smaller scale, and it's definitely worth going to have a look at some of the stuff they've been doing recently.
You could do a whole Board Master army.
Oh, gorgeous.
Of Urkai with Witch Kings. You should do that, Ben. Ben, do that.
Yeah.
Ben.
I already have dwarves that I haven't painted. I was
This sounds like a future Ben problem.
Yeah, future Ben problem. Screw you. But yeah, so for example, if you click on things like the Lion Bugs, you've got some nice bits and pieces there for Starship Troopers. So if you're going to,
I would like to know more.
Exactly. So if you're looking to play around in that kind of sphere and you don't want to have to worry yourself about getting 28mm aliens or buying some of the toys and stuff and converting them, then you could always go down a little bit smaller in scale to sort of 6-10mm. And, that makes things like the Fort Siege from
Ticonderoga.
Yeah, a little easier for you to replicate on the battlefield because you're not going to have to think about doing it in 28mm. You can do it on a smaller board and all that kind of thing as well.
Oh yeah, that would work really, really well just to see a big, epic, spread out battle like that.
As they're all surging over the hills towards the fort. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, you can get that real cinematic.
Because Lloyd could do his whole game.
He could. His things in whole game, yeah.
Yes.
As well as Starship Troopers on the sci-fi side of things, you've also got some Star Warsy stuff as well. So I know a lot of people really like Star Wars, but want to try and replicate the battles on a smaller but grander scale, because Legion can only do so much, obviously. And so having stuff like this, I think, would be really great. And then tying them into just any kind of generic style sci-fi war game rule set out there. There are plenty of them for you to choose from. You could build some cool stuff. Yes, they are.
Cool.
You happy, Jerry? You smiling?
You could go June-ish. Yeah. June-esque. Yes.
June-esque. Bloody Sadakar.
Because and they barely use guns. It's all about the sword, man.
Well, that's because you can't use projectile weaponry because the shield's too good.
Bounce off the shields.
Yeah. Yes. The slow knife.
But yeah, you could have them. Imagine them charging out of a sandstorm towards your army. Oh,
can.
So
but are there Fremen? Are there little 6mm Fremen?
I'm not sure, actually. I haven't looked. I didn't look too much at I was very taken by the.
Yeah, you got distracted by Lord of the Rings. Stuff. Yeah, well, there you go.
There we are. Yeah, you've also got your Void Ship Troopers as well, sort of putting up flags inside the dead bodies of aliens. There are bounty hunters for Star Wars, so if you want to do stuff in maybe you want to do things in a role-playing style, but you don't want to, take up a huge amount of room on the tabletop. Maybe put down some graph paper and play around with little 10mm models or 6mm models instead. Represent what's going on the tabletop. I think that'd be quite nice. They're really cool. You've got your little droid, and then your Cad Bane as well. Yeah. Extra love.
The B2 battle droid with extra gear slung on it is just ridiculous looking.
I love that. Maybe punched his way out of the arena in the Clone Wars and was like, screw this.
Oh no, clearly some salvage rat has found him later on and just went, I'm going to make you into a bounty droid and you will make me money.
There you go. That's the start of your next Star Wars role-playing game character, Justin. Sorted. Or now mine. Actually, I'm taking that for myself.
So it's not thievery, children. It's inspiration.
It is inspiration. Yes, exactly. But Wake's Emporium has covered an astronomical range of stuff that I didn't know existed. And I've seen a lot of through JMax's video and also the person who did the collaboration with, I've seen a lot of these as they came out of the printers and stuff. And, they're not running the most high-end stuff, but the models come out looking absolutely gorgeous. And obviously, at this scale as well, you can print a hell of a lot of them on one bed.
Yeah, you can be pumping out 2 units at a time.
I will ask the question, though. Why have they based them the wrong way around? Infantry are based long ways to the front. They're 40 by 20. cavalry
Clearly,
based.
somebody doesn't understand Warmaster.
This is
That's the correct way.
easily solved.
There you go.
That's the wrong way. Correct way.
Maybe it was just a Lloyd
Wrong
shot.
way.
Maybe. Yeah.
Correct way.
But there's
gorgeous work, though.
Yeah, there's a lot
lovely
more in
idea.
here. Yeah, there's a lot more in here than kind of meets the eye. Like you scroll through the first thing, you're like, oh, cool, sure, whatever. And then you actually start scrolling, and I'm like, oh my god, they've done loads of bits and pieces and characters.
Void Ship Trooper starter set. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, but there is your swarms coming out of the things in the whole game.
Yep. Oh yes, all in one single hit. Thank you kindly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I am in on this one.
So basically what you're saying is we're going to club together and buy this for Lloyd for Christmas, and then he's going to have to paint it or do something with it.
Screw Lloyd, I want it for myself.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. I love, go back one image there.
Two, you mean?
Actually, you can see it there as well. I love that they've done the swarm base
and then
individuals. Yeah. So you can have the swarm pushing forward, and then you break them up as they take damage.
Smaller swarms.
Yeah.
Tiny swarms.
Yeah, whenever the big swarm breaches a wall, you just break them off into little hunting packs.
Yeah.
And I love how modular the fort is. You could do something really cool with that.
Yeah. Those look like you want to put your finger in them.
Oh, the bug holes just look like they need some managed democracy.
Look, corpses.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Plenty of corpses.
My favourite type.
I was going to say something as well now. I can't remember what.
And supply and ammo dump. Nice.
The amount of stuff in the range.
You could. I was going to say for that actually as well. You could do those swarm bases as like blip markers from Space Hulk or something, where the person who's running it or the GM or whatever or the game knows how many's on the bottom, or you roll a dice. So you're shooting the swarm, and then you roll to see how many come out of it when it bursts, when it like lurches towards you, and there could be like 6 of them in there, or just one or something that's left from the ruins of it and stuff. But yeah, there is a lot for you to get your hands on. There you go.
A little 6mm childminder.
Yeah. He has definitely got sand lodged somewhere he didn't want.
They're fancy.
Hey.
Oh, cute.
Amazing. Pulling people in half.
Those are delightful.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Yes, I would highly recommend coming to check out the stuff from Wake's Emporium. There is a Patreon. I'll have the link down below. We don't have to look at it now, but there is a Patreon for you to go and check out as well. So if you're interested in getting your hands on stuff on a monthly basis, you can do. I think in particular, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is going to be very, very cool. And I can see a lot of people picking this stuff up and just basically choosing any epic scale game and just having some fun.
Yeah.
It certainly plugs a lot of the gaps that you'll find in 28mm armies as well, with more specialist stuff too. So they will cater for everybody at some point. So yeah, very cool.
And there's just loads of stuff.
Yeah, there's some spanking stuff. I've seen a lot of the Wake's Emporium, both through Warmaster and Fantastic Battles, because there's a ton of armies have been built off the back of this range. So it's nice seeing some of the non-fantasy for once. Hadn't realised they'd gone so deep into the likes of Star Wars and Dune as well, to be fair. And then even some Elysian Stormtroopers or Drop Troopers and things like that. All the Sci-Fi desert buildings. Sweet. That's really nice.
Perfect.
Look at that. You'll never see a more wretched ... fill in the blanks. You all know the line.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, you could have so much fun with some of this gear.
You really could.
Boop.
What is that? $6?
Sorry, what was that, Justin?
It's $6.
Yeah, for a boatload of stuff.
That's a bargain, my son.
It really is. Yeah. All you need to pay for is resin and time at that point. So,
and the electricity.
Yeah.
Just do what everybody else does and just run off a street lamp. I mean, my meter's not moved in years, and even if it could, there's a magnet attached to it, so it can't. Yeah. That's how that
I'm sure
goes.
Jerry dreads the day the gas man comes round.
I would, because we don't have gas. I'd be very confused and surprised. Get out of my house, gas man. I hit you with an axe. Clearly in here to try and
That's how they say hello up in Antrim.
If somebody comes into your house and you don't have gas, then I suggest that your best bet is to get them out of your house immediately, if not sooner. Just try and cut them. I'll show all of you. I screamed. Right. So there you go. Wix Emporium, Patreon, and obviously big bucket of stuff on their own page as well.
Yep.
Now, we have a couple of crowdfunding campaigns to see us out. We'll do it live. What's our first?
The first one we're going to be looking at comes from Raybox Games. You may have seen us talking to Marco not long ago on the XLBS, where he was explaining his game design philosophy and all of the work that has gone into this project, which is the Cats of Mont Michel. So if you missed our XLBS episode, here's a little bit of a rundown of what Cats of Mont Michel is. It is a cat swashbuckling game of solo co-op awesomeness spread out across the course of a wonderful campaign. It's set against the backdrop of revolutionary France, and you'll be working together as a band of plucky kittens, well, full-grown cats, there are kittens involved in some way, to try and take down the Crimson Cardinal Rat, who is always a sticky bugger. As you dive in, you'll be able to play through their adventure book, as you see presented as part of the trailer, which means that the setup is just stupidly easy. You open the book to the scenario you're playing, you set up your character boards, set up your kit that your cats have brought with them, and you just dive in and start playing. But what's quite nice about this is that it has, similar to the rest of the stuff they've done for, is it Paths Unknown? I think that's the official
Paths Unknown is the system, yeah.
You dive in and it's got a choose your own adventure style element to it. So depending on the outcome of your scenarios and where you want to go next and what you want to do, you'll be able to dive deeper and deeper into the story and tell your own unique tale as you get towards the end and the defeating of the said Crimson Cardinal Rat. Meant to be very easy, quick to dive into. Rules are nice and simple. If you've played any of the stuff before, it's got a similar feel and vibe to it. Obviously, in this one, it's a little bit more sort of mellow focused with sort of swashbuckling and things like that. So they have tweaked it in a few different ways. You have the ability to upgrade and change your characters throughout the course of the campaign as well. So you'll be able to enhance them and get them different equipment and all sorts of good stuff like that. And they offer a couple of different flavors for you to dive into when it comes to pledging for the game as well. So the core game comes with everything you need to play through the campaign, obviously, and comes with standees instead of miniatures, which I think is great, especially if you're somebody who, like me, who ends up having to paint all of the bloody board game components.
Well, it also keeps that price point down.
It does as well, which is very, very important. If you want to go a little bit more deluxe, a little bit wee extra, you can get a sort of bonus accessory add-on set, which makes the components a little bit more plush than they were before. So the sort of character boards come with like set-in bits, so you can sort of layer things down, which means they're not going to move around on the tabletop. You also get wooden components, as you can see there, rather than just the cardboard chits that you get. And then on top of that, there is also, and you will have seen it in the trailer as well, there are the miniatures for both the heroes and the villains of the piece. And what's quite nice about the pledges is that you can go for that kind of standard sort of cardboard standee style version, essentially the one that will appear at retail more or less. You can go slightly more deluxe and get all the sort of lovely boards and wooden tokens, or you can go that extra step further and you can lock in the miniatures as well if you wanted to really dive in deep with the Cats of Mont Michel. It may be about cats, but it's not quite as kid-friendly as you'd imagine. There is a lot of stabbing and gutting and stuff. So so bear that in mind. But otherwise,
folks, just remember, cats can be assholes.
They can be assholes.
Yeah. But so you can go from print and play, actually, is the cheapest.
Yes.
So if you just want to grab some dice and bits and pieces of yourself and just print it all off at home.
Yeah.
Bosh.
You use Birds and Badgers miniatures as you were talking to me about earlier, Jerry.
Yes, Birds and Badgers, and off you go. One of our community members was talking about doing that. Those are Canadian dollars, so that's roughly £40 for the Cool
That's
Cat
not bad.
pledge, which is your basic game with standees. And then you can pick up the individual add-ons as well. There is a children-friendlier version.
The Kittens of Mont
The Kittens of Saint Michel. Because the original idea was that this would be just totally kid game. And then things got out of hand, really. So it became a bit more bloodthirsty and bloody. And depending on your kids, you may want to get them to play it anyway. But if you are just looking for something for younger ones, then that is
Snap this up.
available and has a different art style as well. Different.
The art on that is just adorable.
It is really nice.
So,
but yeah, I would say don't sleep on the stuff that Raybox are doing. I know that a lot of people will see their stuff and they'll be like, "Oh, zombies in World War II," and anthropomorphic animals fighting through an adventure book. I've seen this before in Mice and Mystics and blah blah blah, and all sorts of other World War II games. But they do genuinely really good games with solid design, really interesting ideas as well, and they really care about the kind of products that they're putting out. So if you're looking to sort of explore some of their stuff, I would really go and have a look at things like the Cats of Mont Saint Michel. Maybe go back and have a look at Stalingrad Z, which I think you can get from their web store and stuff now as well.
Stalingrad is on the web store.
Yes.
Project Ryza is due to ship to backers shortly, and then the Viking game Niflheim is in production at the moment.
There you go.
I think you can late pledge still for the Viking game.
Cool.
So it's on GameFound anyway, so you can see it in there if you fancy it. But yeah, I'm a fan of the Paths Unknown system because I'm a lazy man when it comes to playing most games. So being able to just go, "Oh, it's a book, you say," and flip the book open is really nice. And also, if you're wondering about the quality of components, that is one of the little recessed player dashboards from the first game. So the components and stuff are absolutely spanking gorgeous. So it's a good quality product. It's nice to, obviously, sometimes with these, you don't know what the finished thing is going to be like. I do, because I bought them. What can I say?
Jerry, seal of approval.
I buy things. I've picked that at some point and dented it. Oh dear. I should not put this behind my seat, but I will. So there are a whole host of reasons to pick it up. Best being it's a solid game and a lot of fun. And the background behind it is hilarious because it started with being told a tale of how the rats got into the granaries during a siege, and then the cats flourished, did away with all the rats, and the people inside rejoiced. And they became sort of famous. It's a famous tale within Mont Saint Michel. This isn't based on that. This is the sequel. So the rats weren't all killed during that period, and these have been quietly biding their time and come back when people weren't expecting it. So it's like a follow-up to the historically accurate myth. That's always good in the hood, as the man says. I'm a big fan. Long may it last. There are 20 days left for the Cats of Mont Saint Michel. You're too late to get the little fluffy cat hat, which was only available for the first 48 hours. So
it does look like you can get it as an add-on, though.
I have one in my cupboard.
No, it's listed as an add-on at $0 because I think it's going to be shifted off if you're not a backer within the first 48. Unlucky, suck it up.
That's unfortunate. That was cute.
Yeah, well, that'll teach people to get in there earlier.
I would say
we're going to talk about in advance.
You're not having mine.
No, you're not having it. Right. We have a final Kickstarter, and this brings together two things that everybody loves: Nuremberg and Slay Industries, two of the finest RPGs to RPG in the RPG world of RPGs. So Slay Borg, which they do play around with quite a lot as far as the name goes, is a interesting concept. Up in the 90s, Dave Alsop and Jared Earl came up with a game called Slay Industries. You play like The world is run by Mr. Slayer. That's his cat, not the same person. Mr. Slayer lives in the Black Pyramid in Mort City, where it's perpetually raining. It's a terrible place. Terrible things happen. There are cannibal sectors all around everywhere, and you and your group of operatives are handed out assignments to go and deal with. And it's the usual sort of hack and slash type of dungeon crawl adventure in a cyberpunk gothic world, except it's the future. Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. You and your operative friends need to be out there making your names, getting branding, coming up with your own version of Pepsi Max or Prime, getting Coke sponsor, all of that. That's what Slay is. Slay isn't just about dealing with the world in a dystopian like Dread type thing, but also having to deal with the fact that people want to know who you are, what clothes you're wearing, what guns you're firing. Mork Borg is a very punk, short, stabby game. And these things come together where they went, you know what? What if instead of being an actual group of proper operatives, you're a bunch of Muppets? You think you're operative, you're not. You're chucked out there, wandering around, cleaning up the garbage and feeling at life, and still having to deal with all the other shit that goes down in Mort City on a regular basis. And this is where SLA BORG comes from. So this is not Slay Industries light for people who want to play Slay, but just using the Mork system. This is specifically a punk, weird, comedic version of Slay in the Mork Borg style of game, or Merkberg, depending on how you're feeling. And it has the hallmarks of the punk comedy that you see throughout that. For example, Slay Borg, pronounced Slayberg, is pronounced as an alternative perspective role-playing game, Slay Industries. No, it's not, you idiot. It's pronounced Slay Borg. So there's Mr. Slay. And obviously anybody who's aware of three-letter acronyms will know that SLA is Service Level Agreement, because it's all about companies. But he is just Mr. Slayer, and it is Slay Industries. So, yeah, having to deal with the kitten. It has the vibrancy and punk feel and aesthetic that all the nice Mork Borg games have. They have that really spanking artwork where it looks like some sort of fanzine gone mad, where somebody's taken a handful of acid and just put all the colours on the page and scribbled over it afterwards. And that's what I want to see. And then having to deal with a comedic take on what happens in Mort City is hilarious. So, your members of your little group may or may not be who they appear to be. I also like the fact that the Demon Dog 8-page adventure you can download from them to see what their take on Mork is and how they plan on sort of setting it up. But they've got a whole host of games that they've worked on. Obviously, the original creators go back to the 90s, but subsequent to that, they've worked on a whole host of things. Dave's artwork has appeared in all over the place. Mantic, he's done the Enforcers and stuff for the original Warpath release. They've also recently they picked up the Hellboy license for the RPG from Mantic. They've got the Terminator license, Stokerverse. They got within the last year as well. So they've been in the industry now for 30 odd years, and they continue to sort of revamp Nightfall since they sort of came back, got back together and started working away on it again. So yeah, it's just going to be a punchy, quick comedy cyberpunk game where if you're familiar with Slay, it will just be another level of weirdness for you and your group to play when you don't want to play the full game. And if you're not familiar with Slay, it's a pastiche and homage to that noir cyberpunk grim gothic game, which means you don't need to know anything about it. You can just run with this and just have a look at sort of weird stuff that they're adding in there, like a whole page of more drugs. Get in there for the biscuits to use. The biscuits is the group, because like all good operative groups always have a name, because if you don't have a name, you don't have a brand. If you don't have a brand, then nobody's going to sponsor you, and then you're going to end up poor and on the streets, destitute, and like cannibal.
I loved the perfect binding one.
The original release of Slay back in the day, there were, let me say, criticisms. Almost nearly every book that came out back in the day, the pages didn't. My copy of Rogue Trader, my first edition of Werewolf the Apocalypse, the pages were never falling out in those. So it's sort of thing. So the perfect binding version. So let's make a joke about the pages falling out. Ha ha ha. Anyway, yeah. All fun and games in a punk. I'm really looking forward to this. So much so that I backed it.
Yeah, that is a very tempting one. I would love to play that.
It's Mork Borg. And I love both of them. One I've loved for many decades more than the other, but that's only because it has a many decades head start.
Exactly.
So it's good to see. And if you are taken with it, you can pick up other bits and pieces, including Musketeers versus Cthulhu, which I have a sneaking suspicion was written partly by Claudia Christensen, the Ivanova from Babylon 5.
Oh, wow.
I seem to remember her being heavily linked to that at the time it was on Kickstarter. I'd have to go and double check which is really weird because A, it's Babylon 5, B, it's Cthulhu, and somehow and an RPG, and I didn't back it. I don't know what was going on there. I must have been having a weird month. Anyway, there's a whole host of things, including if you fancy it, you can pick up Slay Industries 2nd edition with everybody's favorite Jack on the front cover. He's a delightful man. Stay away from his axe. You will not like where that goes. So yes, if you fancy it, it's a very simple, easy, accessible system to pick up. And they've made just a couple of choices when it comes to pledging. You either get the PDF, you get the hard copy, or you get both. There's not much that needs to be said about it beyond that. Keep it simple, stupid, I think is the phrase that we all need to use when we're doing Kickstarters and things. Sometimes bloat is not required. Just make a good product well, and people will beat a path to your door. And as you can see, it will be shipping from various hubs, so it's all good in the hood. There's Dave and Jared. God bless their cotton socks. Where would we be without them? Probably in Glasgow. You never want to go to Glasgow. But that's a whole other RPG story, and I can't get into it right now. So yes, if you fancy checking out Slayborg or Slayborg, depending on your point of view, there are 13 days left on it, and it's well worth a punt if you fancy it. Just to even find out what the world is like. I definitely suggest that you take to the stars and meet a Shakhtar at some point. Lovely people. Have you met them? Do you know them? Right. Enough of this gay banter. It's time for us to wrap up the show and make way for what's coming this weekend, which is, of course, Charity Shield and XLBS on Sunday.
And more
One of these is
Sorcerer
more
Kings.
important than the others.
Yeah.
And more Sorcerer Kings. Yes. All the Sorcerer Kings, all of the time. If you're not already a cultist, you can join us on Sunday for free, gratis for 30 days over on tabletop.com. Come, kick the tires, have a look around, smell the lovely leather. Let us know what you think. Otherwise, we'll see you again next Friday. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.